We ready to work? You should have a copy of the budget from last time. We got some notes that we'll go over. First one's going to be the treasurer's bond. Erica, do you want to update them on the treasurer's bond?
So last time, one of the discussion points that I wanted to have with you all is that I'm only bonded at $250,000. And the recommendation is what you have, the treasurer should be bonded at what they have their hands on at any given time. So I think that I'm way under bonded. I got some quotes. Let's see. I got some quotes from Keiko, which is different from who we have it currently with, and Keiko is a better deal. Sorry, I'm having. I didn't know we'd talk about this first. Okay, let's see. Okay, we also need to make sure that Desiree's assistant treasurer is also bonded. So they gave me quotes for it'd be the same price for either. So one thing is Kentucky charges a surcharge of 1.8%. So keep that in mind to add on to whatever I tell you the price is. So 250 would be $753 a month. I'm sorry, for the year. 500,000 would be 1340, so 1,340 plus the surcharge. $1 million would be 2515 plus the surcharge. $3 million would be 5515 plus the surcharge. $5 million would be 8515 plus the surcharge. And as far as what a treasurer bond covers, I asked if she could just give me a quick little blurb, and that way I'm sure it's much more intricate details, but she said that it includes faithful performance of duties, which means it not only covers employee theft of funds, but also covers employees who do not faithfully perform the duties of their office prescribed by law that leads to a loss of taxpayer money. And they're not like insurance, it's a surety. So if a claim is successfully made, it's made against the bond and payable to the obligee, which would be the fiscal court. Let's see, where's my other?
Erica, would you repeat those numbers, please? My pen wasn't cooperating. I have the 500,000 at 1340, and that's as far as I got.
Yeah, okay,
Are you, let's go back, a month
for the year.
for the year?
I'm sorry, the very first one I read, I said month, but I meant year.
Yeah, okay.
So 250,000 was 753 for the year, 500,000, 1340 for the year, 1,000,000, 2515 for the year, 3,000,000, 5515 for the year, 5,000,000, 8515 for the year, and then each of those is plus the 1.8% Kentucky surcharge.
Okay.
So,
Right now you have 4550.
right.
We pay 4550, but what was that for?
That is in there for the treasurer's bond and for the finance officer bond. And I believe we used to pay a third bond out of there when there were 3 full-time people in the office. So I know I'm currently bonded, I think, at 250. So if you wanted to bond Des, I kind of figured what I thought would be reasonable. So if you wanted to bond Des at 250 and me at 3, then we'd need to add about 1850 to that line, and that would cover those things, if that's the route you want to go. We could go less if that's what you want to do. I kind of reached out to some other treasurers to see what they
Yeah.
do, and it's all over the board. Some of them are at 250, like Emily always was. I talked to one who's at, I can't remember if she said 4 or 6 million, and she pays around the quote that I got. So it seems like a reasonable quote. And then everywhere in between, I've had a few people say amounts in between.
Yeah, because is it based on like the amount of, what, I mean, what?
The auditor's recommendation are just whatever I could touch at one time. So basically what our bank accounts are at one time, which are, I did not get quotes that high.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I can, if that's what you want me to do.
Oh.
I just, since I talked to the other treasurers, and 4 to 6 seems to be the highest, even though theirs could be higher too. That seemed to be what was reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Who is it currently with?
That guy's name is. Roding Insurance. It's with Roding. I believe it's a division of Roding. He's out of Lexington, and our contact's name is Michael Turner. And Michael did give me some quotes to go up with him. They were just higher than the Keiko quotes. So the Keikos were the ones that I presented. They also, Keiko covers a lot of people, so a lot of the count.
I mean, to have that much bonding for $1,850 more than what you've got in here seems very reasonable to me.
Keeps you from getting wrote up sometimes too in the audit reports.
Seems reasonable.
I don't know what level y'all's has to be to keep from getting that. It's always a comment, seems like, because you can't bond enough.
My assumption would be that we could stay at 250. I mean, we haven't gotten in trouble for being at 250 to now. I just know what the auditors have recommended, and that's anything that I would have my hands on. Or when we're talking about the one for Des, kind of the same for Des, which Des writes checks. She doesn't do bank transfers or anything like that. So I think that for Des, 250 is reasonable.
And that 1,800 additional would raise yours from 250 to what?
To 3
64.
million. That was me choosing the 3 million.
Oh,
3 million, okay.
so it's going to take that line item to $6,400, correct?
yes.
Or do you have,
Let's see. I just wrote that it needs to go up by 1850.
yeah.
What did it take that to?
$6,400.
I will say, as far as I just said that about Des probably being okay at 250, but there's probably going to be an occasion where Des may have to take over for me for a point of time and do the things I do, and so I don't know if we would want to at that time, if there's a potential to up her bond for a certain period of time, or not, but kind of.
So the bond wouldn't deal with like the actual
Office compared to
office
the
of
person.
treasurer? Yeah.
No,
like
it's
if
per
you would-
person.
Per person.
So like they're gonna run my credit and everything
Well,
through my
I just-
bond, which I
yeah.
hate because then
Yeah, I
that's a
don't know.
pool.
And we know that that's going to happen, so
I think it-
it may be a good decision to just do both for 3 million.
I think a year's the least amount they'll write, probably.
I think it's for the year, yeah. So we could, I anticipate in this year her probably having to take over for me for a little bit. And then I would think next year we could go back to a smaller amount for her.
So what would that be then, I guess? You're saying 3 million and 3 million?
Yeah, I could also, if you wanted me to ask if there's a way to bump it for a certain period of time if we needed to, and then go back. I don't know if they would do
Yeah,
a
I
special
wonder.
rider for a certain period of time. I don't know.
You would think maybe there'd be some type of special rider so that you're not having to,
Yeah. I'll send an email back to her right now about that and see what she says.
I mean, I think at a minimum, we do that 3 million and 250 and then See if they have a rider for her. Seems reasonable.
While she's doing that, RDAP, with the General Assembly changes, the RDAP monies used to go to the IDA because the IDA would request those dollars. Now they will come to the fiscal court. So we put in the budget for this next fiscal year that we will receive those monies, and then we have them on the expense side going out to the IDA. Was that all the discussion on, the treasure bond?
Would you guys want me to go ahead and change it to
I gotta
250 and
take this.
3 premiums until I hear back? And if she says, and that way we kind of are already in that spot with the budget, or do you just want me to wait to change it, period, until we hear from her?
I mean, you'll have something pretty quick.
I don't know. I mean, she answered me
I
pretty
mean,
quick last time.
I think personally, at a minimum, we go ahead and change it to the 6,400 based on the 3 million and 250, and then see what,
What they say.
yeah. At least
They
you
may be
know
able to
what
do
you
shorter
got.
term ones, and so we put her on a 3-month until a certain point and then change it
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it.
I was typing. What did he say about RDAP? I didn't hear that.
That it was just, comes to us, so you had to add
Yes.
it, but then you had to take it right back out. So I think when we left it, the last,
Was that everything on the bonds?
Yeah, until we hear back.
We discussed retirement. We roughly have 20
Yeah,
folks
so
that are
Des
eligible.
and I went through to see who we had, because we've heard kind of unofficially of a couple of people we know are going to try to retire in the next year. But we went ahead and looked to see who we have as 20-year plus who have not retired yet, and we have about 20 people who could retire. So, I mean, we have a few that we think are going to retire that we could try to budget for their payouts, or do we want to give a little cushion in case several more retire? I mean, nobody has to tell us they're retiring until the day they decide and they come. I'm retiring. I got my approval from the board, or whatever, the retirement board, and it'll happen in the next 3 weeks. So about 20 people, if you think about 20 people, and maybe the majority of them have maxed out their vacation, because they've been here for 20 years, and they make, say, the average of $20 an hour. I'd say we'd be safe, if you wanted to think about it that way, to budget 75,000-ish. If you think that's a little excessive, we could go down from there. I think at a minimum, we need to expect maybe 4 to 5 to definitely retire.
So would you begin a completely new line item then, right? Because we don't have
I almost think that
something
that
like
would
that.
be
And then what do you do?
a kind of a
if it-
safer way to do it, and then just make sure we have something there. And if we don't use it, then it carries over to cover who's retiring the next year. And we can kind of keep a little cushion there for if we have some unexpected retirement. If you wanted to say, look, do the 5, that I think will definitely. And then, is it 240 that they can accumulate? I always think 240 or 280.
If they fall under our code, yeah, 240.
Okay, let's just assume they all have the 240, and then they make an average of $20 an hour, then that's about 25,000 that we could do.
I think it's a good idea just to, at a minimum, do the 25. I don't know that I'd have an issue with the 50, just to be safe if it's going to carry over. It's my opinion. We've never done that in the past, right? We just pull it.
Yeah, I know,
From-
there's been times where we've
cross
waited,
our
waited
fingers.
to promote somebody because we've had to pay out, or, had to take it away from other line items in the budget, or of that person's budget.
So we're going with 25,000?
I can just put it under a non-salary department, like we put our workers' comp insurance and our other insurances that we pay, and I'll just, I'll mark it as a retirement allowance.
The other thing is Casey being in GIS. Obviously, the original setup with him doing 40% in the building inspection, we moved that to 100% in GIS. The admin expenses is what we created in the budget to show, was it 23,000 going to the admin expenses to cover coming from the building inspection side of the house to cover for providing an office and equipment. But that's the change that you should see from the last time we met. There's no discussion on that. The other item that was changed was the commissioner's travel. You should see that increase from, I think, 1,000 to 2,000.
For each commission?
Just, you don't participate in that. And then the grants for E911, the carryover. That's the other item that was changed. I think that's all. have a total.
I can get the total now that we've changed those. So that puts us at 312, 851 off.
I thought where we left it last time was y'all were going to, you said your office would
What?
come back with us with the suggestions of, am I wrong about that?
We looked at it, and these items that we just went over were items that
Those are
obviously
just-
needed to be discussed.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess go back to the point I made last time. I would like to see us use that one, it's 165,431 that would be left to cover that site ready pad. And I'd like to see us use our investments that came from some economic development asset sales to go towards economic development. And I feel like that would be a good use of that and take that pressure off the budget.
You're talking about the Port Authority money, right?
I would agree with that.
Does that balance it?
No.
Yeah, there's $1 million in Port Authority money.
No. He's saying, does that balance it? And the answer to that is no.
No.
I mean,
That
that'd be,
leaves.
if you're wanting to, you put the whole $1 million towards something in the budget, then no, we'd be over.
Yeah, no, I'm saying,
I'm saying a difference, if I heard correctly, about
Yeah.
148.
yes, 147, 420.
Oh, so you're saying you wanted to cover just that part of it?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
saying.
I wasn't on the same page. Okay.
No, I'm saying to cover. Because I feel like it should go towards economic development and that would.
So you wanted to cover, you said 184?
165, 431 is what I have. You double check me, but if you take those two grants together and subtract the expense, I believe that leaves 165, 431.
I believe you're right. I'll double check though.
That's from my last notes unless something has changed.
Yep, 165, 431. Now that doesn't include I went to the road fund and put that equipment that they have to rent. I think it was maybe 15 grand. Let me look. Are you wanting to cover that too, or do you want to leave it the way it is? I think it was a lift or something that had to be rented. Is this ringing a bell to anybody else?
I'm trying to think.
Oh, but I would say anything that has to do with that particular project, I don't remember us doing.
Yeah, it's part of the in-kind.
To do the in-kind, I'm trying to remember too, what piece of equipment.
It was 3,500. This is for equipment rental. Southwest one, Pat Ready side, I don't remember what the piece of equipment was.
That we used on Southwest one?
It's for the Pad Ready side, whatever in kind
Gonna
of
have to
labor.
use.
We might have gonna rent a roller.
Is it, oh, I see, 3640?
Mm-hmm.
$3,500, is that something? You don't remember?
What's for?
I can't remember.
It
My
just says
notes
road
don't say. Let
department
me see
equipment
if I
rental.
wrote it on the other tab. What had to be rented? No, I didn't write what had to be rented.
Doesn't say, I mean, it didn't give a project or anything.
It was something we was gonna rent.
Yeah. I can't remember. But we got the cost to rent it. We got the number, we just can't come up with.
Most likely be a roller, probably, wouldn't it?
For a Pad Ready side, I would be, my guess would be a roller to compact it.
Think we should include that in there if that's gonna be part of it.
That's 170,431. From, sorry.
So if I make that change, then the budget will still be off by 143,920.
So, question for y'all between the last time we met and this, I know we've kind of gone back and forth with some numbers or whatever. I guess my question is, are we comfortable yet that your numbers and his numbers match?
Yeah, I've talked to Eddie, and I can agree with the numbers that he gave for how he presented his budget. So if the raises that he has in his budget are given, then I agree that his budget will cover what he's presented.
Which is, but I'm saying, is that, Are they the
item that
same
you had
number?
the item you had asked me for at the last budget meeting was what that dollar amount would look like if it was not the proposed raises, but if it was the current
Right.
rate with the 1.4 COLA that the other employees are
Right.
getting. And that's what I sent you guys an email on, what that number comes out to be.
but the figure that I'm looking at based on this budget, the total, I'm talking the total, is 3,823.
Yes, and then what he presented was 3,9077, when you match things up. And the differences were, he had calculated health insurance at the highest rate, I
That was the
calculated it
biggest
at the actual rates. And then, I think he had done HRAs, a few people who, I think he had a few people that he didn't count as HRAs that did. So then there were those two kind of matched numbers that were, different. And then I think in his original budget, he gave, it didn't have fuel, but then I did add the fuel. So that way it's somewhere and it's in a line and we know where it's at.
Have you still got ABC at 376?
Say it one more time.
Have you still got ABC at 376?
Let's see.
I don't think it was at 376, was it? Wasn't it 303 something?
I have the actual receipt, so not including whatever the cash balance is, at 298.5. Well, and that has interest. So if we were gonna just look at what I have, the regulatory and license fee set at, it's 298. And I know you had requested this at that higher.
Do you know what we brought in this year?
At the point that I did it last, it was 376, but I still don't have the info on
Right.
the breakdown of all the dates.
Yeah, 'cause
Of
we had it
which
set
is
at,
which.
it was at 407 last year. Is what we had it set at, 406, 407, something like that. I think I had it at 426 this year. And then we brought it down.
Yeah, 428 was the overall budget last year. So that was what you had the receipt set at, what your beginning balance was at.
Yeah.
And then $500 of interest.
But that's also because you had a cash balance of 130.
Right. And I had set it
Currently,
at
the
18.
way that it's set, it's at
Right.
nothing.
I had set it at 18, because I was thinking that, I thought I heard him say he was gonna do 2 more requests for 90, but if you don't, then it will just carry
I think
over.
so, yeah. That's what I think.
So we'll just
When I
change it
said
to
that,
whatever
we
it
was
actually is.
estimating that we'd have 100,000 or so carry over from that to get it. I think that's why I submitted the 420 or 425 to kind of take some weight off the subsidy, OTA subsidy. But we can, I think you could at least set it at 400. And then that would just be coming in, plus you still got that carryover there in case we had a alcohol ban or something.
So you wanna set the receipts in at 400, not counting the carryover?
I want it budgeted towards my salary. However you need to do that, it's towards our guys. That's what I use. I'm
Okay.
not talking about the total ABC. I know that, your salary and some other things come out of it, but we set, it was at 407 going towards our salaries last year, I think.
So it needs to come up by 84.
So if you can,
If that's.
even if
the
you just set it the
direction.
same, I think we'll have a better year this year since a lot of them were shut down last year. I think that would be safe.
Well, the key difference that I'm hearing here is that this budget receipts has a 0 cash balance, and you are telling us that there will be a carryover
Based on what
in that.
I think her and Emily had got together, and or you'd sent Emily numbers, and I think that's what Emily had given me.
So you're done getting transfers from ABC for the year? You're not gonna ask for any more?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I agree, his carryover will be
would.
higher. I was just under the impression he's gonna ask for one more round of money.
Okay, so like
She may be there
90,
today. I'll get with her just to make
Make sure.
100% sure, but yeah.
like $90,000, or what do you?
I mean, yeah, I thought he would ask for 90,000 more one more time. So yeah, if you could add 90 to that, and that would be let me double check that. Let me take the screen down. Bank account. Yeah, it would be fine to set it at 100,000. It may be even a little bit more than that, and if it is, it'll just carry over
Just
into
carry
beginning
over, yeah.
balance.
And is my fee still at 1.8? I think they are.
Yeah, let's see, 1.8, mm-hmm.
$53,920. 43. 43. So that number you said was 100, not 90.
Okay, so if you make that change, that's about an $80,000 change, right? 82.
Well, oh, you were using something? Oh, you were. I'm sorry. I was looking at zero, but you,
Okay.
18,000. Okay.
So that makes the difference, 2,000 minus the 168,931 from the court. So that brings it down, if you want to make that change, it brings it down to 61,920. That we're off. 61,920. Just get closer.
What did our occupational tax shake out at after everything
Say
came
that
in?
one more time?
Our occupational tax, what that,
I have not updated it again since I updated you last, and I don't have that number right in front of me. I think there's a little stack down there to deposit. I don't foresee it being very much. But I could deposit it this afternoon and let you know. Send an email.
thank you.
Any suggestions on the 61,920?
Well, I have a suggestion, since I'm obviously going to be the one that talk.
Agree.
Yeah. Could we talked last time about that you feel comfortable that the carryover's at least $1 million greater than it was, and we only did 750. Could we balance it by the 61 and you and us meet one more time with this new document in our hands prior to closing to make sure, because I don't know what this, I mean, I have my notes, don't get me wrong, but I have pages and pages of notes from these. And I want to see that balanced, you know, and see that what we would have in there, is there anything else?
So if it was to go there, it would take it from 1,750 to 1,811,920.
Right.
From where?
Um,
The carryover?
the beginning balance of occupational tax.
175 to 18,
1,811.
11.
If that's where you wanted to go. If that's the direction you guys wanted to go, then it would be, at the end, it would be balanced. So I don't know that we would need another budget meeting.
Well, but I want to see this, I want to see this balanced, to see the differences in what we have and what we,
With all the
what
updates on
we're,
it and stuff.
what the updates, just because we haven't. I get a printed copy? Like this, both receipts and expenses?
Yeah, I can do that. You want it right now?
Well, no, when you, I can come, I can come tomorrow and get it,
Okay.
or if that's okay.
I just want to make sure that when I go to take out the Port Authority where it's sitting now, I don't miss any. I'm going to make sure that's the only thing I haven't changed yet.
Yeah.
Everything else I've changed as we've talked about it.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to. I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't.
Thinking, but mine's not.
I was like, oh, no.
Did we set,
No, I just changed it again.
what time on Monday? Afternoon
Two.
time would be better for me.
Two, is that enough time?
2 Monday, the 14th works for me.